Once upon a time, in a dense forest near a peaceful village, there lived a crow. But this was not an ordinary crow. Day after day, he carried a heavy sadness in his heart. While all the other birds chirped happily, flew freely, and enjoyed their lives, the crow felt cursed. Every morning when he flew near houses, people threw stones at him. Children shouted and chased him away. Women covering food would say, "Shoo, bad omen." Farmers waved sticks to scare him from their fields. Nobody admired him. Nobody loved him. The crow often sat alone on the branch of an old banyan tree and wondered, "Why did God make me like this? Why am I so ugly? Why does everyone hate me?" One afternoon, unable to bear the pain anymore, the crow began to cry bitterly while sitting on that tree. Coincidentally, a wise monk was meditating beneath the tree. He had spent years understanding the mysteries of life and the nature of human suffering. As he sat in silence, one tiny drop of the crow's tear fell onto his cheek. The monk slowly opened his eyes, looked up, and saw the crow trembling with sorrow. The monk gently asked, "My dear bird, why are you crying?" The crow replied in a broken voice, "O wise monk, I am tired of my life. Everyone hates me. Wherever I go, people insult me and drive me away. Nobody feeds me with love. Nobody wants me around. I feel worthless. Sometimes I think death would be better than such a miserable life." Hearing this, the monk's heart filled with compassion. He said softly, "My child, happiness does not depend on what we are on the outside. Real happiness comes from accepting ourselves." But the crow was too unhappy to understand such wisdom. He cried louder and said, "No, Holy One. If only I looked different, my life would be wonderful." The monk smiled gently. "Tell me," he said, "what do you wish to become?" The crow immediately replied, "I want to become a swan. Swans are beautiful. Their feathers are white like the moon. Everyone admires them. Surely they must be the happiest birds in the world." The monk closed his eyes for a moment and said, "I possess a sacred mantra that can transform you. But before I change you into a swan, go and ask a real swan whether he is truly happy. Return afterward, and then I shall grant your wish." The crow became excited. For the first time in many days, hope entered his heart. He quickly spread his wings and flew away in search of a swan. After flying for hours, he finally reached a beautiful lake surrounded by lotus flowers. In the center of the lake, a graceful swan floated peacefully on the water. The crow was mesmerized. The swan looked elegant beyond imagination. His white feathers sparkled in the sunlight like pearls. The crow approached him respectfully and said, "O beautiful swan, you are so pure and magnificent. Everyone must love you. You must surely be the happiest bird in the world." The swan lowered his head sadly. "My friend," he replied, "things are not always what they seem." The crow looked confused. The swan continued, "Yes, people admire my white feathers, but do you know my pain? The world is filled with colors, red flowers, green trees, blue skies, colorful butterflies, yet I possess only one color, just plain white. Sometimes I feel dull and incomplete. I often think parrots are happier because they are full of vibrant colors." The crow was shocked. How can such a beautiful bird be unhappy? He wondered. Without wasting time, he thanked the swan and flew away to find a parrot. Soon he reached a mango orchard where dozens of parrots were sitting on branches. Among them was one especially colorful parrot with shining green feathers and a bright red beak. The crow happily flew toward him. "Dear parrot," he said excitedly, "you are so colorful and attractive. Surely your life must be full of happiness." But the parrot sighed deeply. "You are mistaken, my friend," he said sadly. The crow asked, "What sorrow could you possibly have?" The parrot replied, "Humans love my beauty so much that they trap me in cages. Many parrots spend their entire lives imprisoned inside tiny cages just to entertain people. Every day I live in fear that someone may catch me and steal my freedom. A colorful body means nothing if the soul lives in fear." The crow listened silently. The parrot then added, "If you want to see true beauty and happiness, go meet the peacock. He is the most colorful bird in the world." Now the crow became even more curious. He flew across forests, rivers, and hills searching for a peacock. Finally, near sunset, he reached a large zoo in a nearby city. There, inside a huge cage, stood a magnificent peacock. His feathers shimmered in shades of blue, green, and gold. Hundreds of visitors surrounded the cage, taking pictures and admiring him. The crow thought, "Surely this bird has no reason to be unhappy." He waited patiently until the crowd disappeared. Then he flew close to the cage and said, "O majestic peacock, thousands of people come just to see you. They praise your beauty endlessly. You must be the happiest creature alive." The peacock looked at the crow with tired eyes. "My friend," he said quietly, "I once believed the same thing. I thought beauty would bring happiness, but my beauty became the reason for my suffering." The crow listened carefully. The peacock continued. "People captured me because they admired my feathers. They locked me in this cage forever. I cannot fly freely in the sky. I cannot roam through forests with my family. Every day people stare at me like an object. Some even pluck my feathers to decorate their homes. My beauty has become my prison." The crow felt shocked. For the first time, he noticed the sadness hidden behind the peacock's beauty. The peacock then looked directly into the crow's eyes and said, "Do you know who the luckiest bird truly is?" The crow whispered, "Who?" The peacock smiled faintly. "You." The crow stepped back in surprise. "Me? How can that be?" The peacock replied, "You are free. Nobody captures crows and locks them in cages. You can fly wherever you want. You can sit on mountains, trees, temples, and rivers. You can roam across the entire world without chains. Freedom is the greatest happiness, my friend." These words struck the crow deeply. For the first time in his life, he began seeing himself differently. All along, he had only looked at what he lacked. He never appreciated what he already possessed. With a thoughtful heart, the crow returned to the monk sitting beneath the banyan tree. The monk opened his eyes and smiled. "So," he asked, "are you ready to become a swan?" The crow folded his wings respectfully and said, "No, wise one, I no longer wish to become anyone else." The monk smiled knowingly. The crow continued, "I traveled far and met many birds. I believed others were happier than me, but every creature carries some hidden pain. The swan was unhappy because he lacked colors. The parrot feared imprisonment. The peacock suffered because of his beauty. And I realized that while I was busy complaining about my life, I forgot to value my freedom." Tears filled the crow's eyes again, but this time they were tears of gratitude. The monk gently said, "This is the greatest lesson of life. Comparison steals happiness." The crow bowed before the monk. From that day onward, the crow stopped cursing himself. He no longer complained about his black feathers or people's opinions. Instead, he learned to enjoy the open sky, the cool wind, the freedom of flight, and the gift of life itself. Days passed. The crow became calmer and wiser. Whenever he saw other birds feeling sad, he shared his story with them. One day, he met a sparrow crying because she was tiny and weak. The crow told her, "Do not hate yourself. Even the strongest eagle fears hunters." Another day, he saw a pigeon upset because people ignored him. The crow smiled and said, "Peace comes when you stop seeking approval from the world." Slowly, the crow became known as the wisest bird in the forest. Animals from everywhere came to hear his words. One evening, a young rabbit asked him, "Why do people always compare themselves to others?" The crow replied, "Because they only see the outside of someone's life. They see smiles but not struggles, wealth but not worries, fame but not loneliness." The rabbit asked, "Then what is the secret of happiness?" The crow looked toward the sky and answered, "Gratitude." "Gratitude for what?" asked the rabbit. The crow smiled. "Gratitude for what you already have." He continued, "A poor man thinks a rich man is happy. A rich man thinks a famous man is happy. A famous man thinks an ordinary free man is happy. Human desire never ends." The forest animals listened carefully. The crow then said something very powerful. "If happiness depended on money, beauty, or fame, then every rich and famous person would be smiling every moment. But look around the world. Many people who have everything still feel empty." The animals became silent. The crow continued, "True happiness comes from peace within. It comes from accepting yourself, loving yourself, and appreciating the blessings you already have." As years passed, the crow grew old, but his wisdom spread far and wide. Even humans began noticing him. One day, a young boy sitting beneath the banyan tree saw the old crow and asked, "Grandfather Crow, what is the biggest mistake people make in life?" The crow replied softly, "The biggest mistake is comparing their journey with someone else's." The boy asked, "But why is comparison so harmful?" The crow answered, "Because comparison turns blessings into burdens. If you have a small house, comparison makes you feel poor. If you have simple clothes, comparison makes you feel ashamed. If you earn enough to survive, comparison makes you feel unsuccessful." The boy listened carefully. The crow continued, "Comparison is like poison. The more you drink it, the more your peace dies." The boy then asked, "How can someone stop comparing themselves?" The crow replied, by focusing on gratitude instead of lack. He added, every morning, instead of thinking about what you don't have, think about what you do have. You have breath, you have life, you have another chance, you have people who care about you. You have dreams, you have opportunities. The old crow looked at the sunset and said, many people spend their whole lives chasing happiness somewhere else without realizing it was already inside them. The boy's eyes filled with tears. That day he understood something life-changing. Years later, that boy grew into a wise man and often shared the crow's story with others. And wherever he told the story, people became emotional because deep inside, everyone struggles with comparison. Some compare looks, some compare money, some compare relationships, some compare success, some compare social status. Some compare followers, cars, houses, jobs, or lifestyles. But comparison never ends. The moment one desire is fulfilled, another appears. That is why people who constantly compare themselves can never truly rest. A person who always looks at others will never enjoy their own blessings. Imagine two flowers growing in a garden. One is a rose, the other is a sunflower. If the rose spends all its time wishing to become a sunflower, it will never enjoy its own fragrance. And if the sunflower keeps wishing to become a rose, it will never stand proudly toward the sun. Every creation has its own beauty. Every person has their own journey. Every life carries unseen struggles. The happiest people are not those who have everything. The happiest people are those who appreciate everything they already have. Never insult yourself by saying, I am not good enough. Never believe that someone else's life is perfect. Every smiling face hides battles you know nothing about. Sometimes the person you envy is secretly praying for the kind of peace you already possess. Remember this forever. The crow thought the swan was happy. The swan thought the parrot was happy. The parrot thought the peacock was happy. And the peacock thought the crow was the happiest because he was free. This is the reality of life. People always think others are happier, but true peace begins the day you stop comparing and start appreciating. So never hate your life, never curse your struggles. Never think you are less than anyone. You are unique. You are valuable. You are enough exactly as you are. If you constantly compare yourself to others, you will become the saddest person in the world. But if you learn to be grateful for your own journey, you will discover a happiness that no money, beauty, or fame can ever buy. And that is the greatest secret of life.